All right, so here is the last bit of information that I'm going to give you based on the feedback that I have received from you guys. This one is a little above and beyond what we've talked about for this class. Somebody had asked me about digital pen and like a pad situation, and so I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of my information that I have on that, a little bit of my experience on that. As you know, I do some illustration work. This is just an illustration that I'm literally doing right now. And I'm doing it in what is called Clip Studio Paint Pro. So this is another type of a professional illustration application that I use specifically. But it honestly is not much different than using Illustrator and or Photoshop with a digital pen and pad as well. So the digital pad and pen that I use, I'm gonna lift this up for a second, is Wacom. So here's the Wacom pad that I use, and then here is the pen that I use. It's a pretty simple pen. As you can see, there's like little buttons here, and these are for shortcuts that you can apply onto the pen, and you can actually apply shortcuts. I don't know if you can see it. There we go, a little closer. Onto these buttons here, and so on and so forth. And you can do that all from, let me bring it up here. The preferences, you can change bar settings. Bar settings is what I just showed you. Shortcut settings, there's key settings, so on and so forth. There's so much you can do to change these settings. Now, the other thing too is you can actually change within the application itself. And this kind of looks a little familiar. This is the eraser panel, and it shows you the different types of hardnesses, softnesses, types of erasing that you can do. Then you can really get into brush size and fluctuate the hardness and softness. You can go into just sizes in general and flip-flop and toggle around. Then there's the pen, similar kind of a setup, and the brush, similar kind of setup. You can go into here and customize and change things on the fly, and or you could have it already done where you can change the brush. Remember the lab that I had talked about? Actually, this lab that I had just done this past class, it's a pretty sized lab. Look at that lab, because that really talks about how you could do new brushes, similar type of a situation to how you create new brushes here. And it's all kind of generically relative to one another. So once you learn an application like Illustrator and Photoshop, and even InDesign in a way, you will start to understand the generalisms of a lot of these types of creative applications. If you were to go in cold in any of these applications, with a little bit of practice, you could probably maneuver your way around a little bit. So just wanted to kind of go over, kind of beyond this class that we had, or classes that you have done with me, and how there are different applications, depending on the specialty that you are thinking about. I think somebody else had mentioned about animation. I don't have that general knowledge yet, and I stress yet. I hope to have that in the future. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of wealth of knowledge of what I know here with, what I do with my illustrations and drawings, digital wise. And so I hope this all clears a lot of questions that you may had before. Make sure that you look at that lab that I had shown you this past week, because it really does go over a lot of feedback of past questions that I've had from students, and goes almost like a real nice refresher into some of the applications as well, and dives in a little bit more into them. So make sure you do that. Make sure, definitely watch these videos. And thanks so much for all of the great questions that you've given me.